It's like arguing with a snail.
Taking the script, kind of flipping it.
I want to twist what you're saying. I'll even twist what I'm saying.
What does that look like in real life?
Arguing with a narcissist is like playing a game of chess with a chicken.
Wow, that sounds exhausting. Are you tired of wasting your breath trying to get a narcissist to value your opinion? If you're ready to say goodbye to futile arguments and hello to quiet confidence, then this episode is for you. Kris Reece will be taking us through the 3 tactics narcissists use to pull you into a toxic argument, how to avoid taking the bait, and the responses that will leave you peaceful and them speechless. Kris, is there ever a time where arguing with a narcissist is helpful?
Yes and no. Mostly no.
Okay, so then why do we do it? How do we always get pulled into, as you say, the toxic tango with them even when we don't want to?
Well, narcissists are going to use several go-to tactics. Number 1, accusations. Number 2, provocations. And number 3, misinterpretations.
Okay, so what does that look like?
Yeah, let me explain. So first, I need you to understand that arguing with a narcissist is like playing a game of chess with a chicken. No matter how well you play, they are just going to knock the pieces all over the place, strut around like they've won, and leave the mess behind. Wow. That's what it's like arguing with a narcissist. You see, narcissists love to accuse. Sound like anybody you know?
Couple.
Well, primarily, it sounds like Satan. He's the accuser of the brethren. So he is the accuser, and his ambassadors are no different. They will throw out accusations to try to derail you. So a lot of times when we argue with somebody, it's because we have a passionate stance about something. Or maybe I'm sticking up for myself, or I need you to understand. And yes, things can get a little heated. It can get a little intense sometimes. But again, when you're arguing with a narcissist, it's like playing chess with a chicken. I can't. It's just, picture that for a moment. It's just not feasible. So you're not talking and you're not arguing with somebody who really wants to understand you, who wants to understand your side, who wants to come to a healthy resolution. So that is actually one of the reasons why we shouldn't be arguing with a narcissist. Does this mean that we don't tell them what our feelings are, where we stand with something, what we won't tolerate, what our boundaries are, what our limits are, how they've affected us? Not necessarily. But once you've recognized what you're dealing with and this person has zero interest in aligning with you as a fellow human being, no, I don't think arguing with a narcissist is going to be beneficial. And the number one thing they love to use is accusations.
So not even getting involved in the argument.
No, because you're actually fighting a fight that doesn't even exist. Now, somebody will be like, what do you mean it doesn't exist? Of course it exists. Well, you're not arguing really over anything real. Because now they're taking and they're accusing you of things that you didn't do. They're accusing you of, and this is classic for them, they accuse you of things that they're actually doing, which can really send you into a mind mess because you're like, whoa, wait a minute. You're like, I'm trying to be loving here, but you're actually accusing me of things, and worse, you're accusing me of the things that you're doing. Do you see what kind of circular reasoning that you're taking place here in your own mind? So you're half engaged in the argument, and you're not even coming at this in a loving and biblical way because I've just taken narcissistic bait.
That sounds frustrating and aggravating and upsetting.
It can be. It really can be. And depending on how we've grown up, depending on what we've been trained to do in terms of our response, we can get very defensive. We don't kind of stand back and say, what does the Lord want me to do here? How am I supposed to approach this? And one of the things that completely transformed how I interacted with narcissists is remembering what Jesus did before Pontius Pilate. When he was being accused, he opened not his mouth. That's almost unfathomable for us. When we're sitting here engaging with a narcissist, it's instinctive. And we couldn't even think for a second that, wait a minute, no, I have to respond. I have to say something. No, we don't. No, we don't. Because sometimes silence in the face of an accusation is the best weapon. Because now we can allow the Lord to speak for us. But the problem comes in is when it's not the response that we want, and it's not in the timing that we want.
That's where we trip ourselves up.
Absolutely. But not responding to a narcissist's accusation is a great first step, but we really want to make sure that we're not responding to their next problem, and that's their provocation. So if their accusations don't work, they now will begin to provoke you.
To get into an argument.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Because that is their playing field. That's their playground. That's where they are most comfortable. And, a lot of times people will run like narcissistic arguments in their head and, oh, I should have said this, and oh, I'm going to say this next time. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. This is their sport. This is where they shine. Now, if that's the kind of person you want to be, then sure, go ahead and join them on that playground. If that's what you want to become good at, is being able to spend your life lobbing back those balls that they're hurling at you. Personally, I think it's a waste of life. But the enemy would want nothing more than to derail and distract you. And what better person to use than a narcissist? Somebody who is accusing you of something you didn't do, who's provoking you with insults, who's taking your vulnerabilities and now actually using them against you. Because remember, at one point you were likely connected with this person. You likely bought into their charm and their false facade. So now they've got all of this ammunition against you.
I can see how that would make it really difficult to trust in the future and to have really any hope.
Well, that's a good point, because if our hope and our trust is in them and it's in them changing, then yes, we're going to be severely disappointed and let down, because narcissists rarely change. Now, I know there's a lot of professionals out there that will say they do not change, but I don't think those professionals know God. So with all things are possible with God, but it takes a willingness for the narcissist to say, I don't think I like these tendencies. So, let me get some help on that. And even that is a very, very long road, but they usually don't change. So now I have to become something that I don't like so that I can somehow survive in a relationship with you. And they love provocations. And they will continue to bait you, name calling, insults, using your past against you, your vulnerabilities. They will use anything and everything to provoke you, to get you onto their playground. You're over here in your little peaceful land over here, and they want you on their playground because that's where they know how to fight. They do not know how to speak the truth in love. They do not know how to have a healthy dialogue. They do not know how to bring their hurts and their vulnerabilities before you. They only know how to fight unfair. And that's why they're going to continue to pull you onto their turf.
Wow, that sounds exhausting.
Yeah. And the next thing that they deal with is misinterpretations. So in normal relationships, you have misinterpretations, you have misunderstandings, and what do? Well, we clarify. Well, hey, you just said this. Did you mean to do that? Or, did you mean to say that? Or hold on, this is how I heard this. This is how I received this. Was that your intention? With narcissists, there's constant misunderstandings and constant misinterpretations. Why? Because they twist everything. It's intentional. Whereas a standard misunderstanding and misinterpretation, we're just going to look for a little bit of clarity, and then we can move forward and maybe even get some growth. With them, it's actually intentional. I want to twist what you're saying. I'll even twist what I'm saying is what they do sometimes. If they'll say one thing 1 minute and then something else the next minute to get you all twisted up, because now you can't argue because I don't even know what I'm arguing. Where were we? And this is classic for most people who argue with narcissists. It's like, I don't even know what we were originally arguing about. Bingo. Because they've misinterpreted, they've misunderstood, they've twisted everything. And then here's the flip side to that. They accuse you of constantly, guess what? Misinterpreting and misunderstanding them.
So they put the onus on you.
Yes. Yep. So they're doing the twisting. They're messing up the entire conversation. So you can't even have a normal conversation. So if you can't have a normal conversation, how are you guys supposed to have a normal argument? How am I supposed to? An argument should be something where we're coming to resolve. Yes, I want to be responsible for my behaviors. I want to be able to speak the truth in love, even if it is a little heated. But at the same time, I can't do that. It's like arguing with a snail or arguing with a cheetah, or we're not playing the same game here. Nevertheless, we're definitely not on the same team because you're not looking for the betterment of the relationship. You're only looking for your own self-preservation. And that's what narcissists usually seek. It's really about coming out a winner. With narcissists, there's always a winner and a loser. And believe me when I tell you, they will never be the loser, ever. And they will twist things, they will accuse you, and they will provoke you to do whatever they have to do to make sure they come out as the winner.
Wow, that's some pretty intense stuff. How do we make sure that we don't take their bait?
Well, the first thing that you want to do is to recognize what you're dealing with. You have to have extreme acceptance. Now, when I say acceptance, I don't mean tolerance. I don't mean, okay, this is who you are and I just have to accept this. No, but you do have to accept the fact that this person isn't who you thought they were. I thought I was having a conversation with somebody who was interested in the relationship, who cared about me, who wants healthy resolve. I have to accept the fact that that isn't going to happen. Because when you come to a place of extreme acceptance, you don't find yourself tossed about by the waves, where they're really sweet 1 minute and you're buying into their words and then you're getting baited the next minute. Extreme acceptance recognizes that I see what's happening here. And okay, we might be having a good day, but that doesn't make this relationship good. It also means that you don't put all of your emotional eggs into their basket. This complete reliance on them. And, we talk about codependency a lot on this channel, making sure that they're okay and their behavior is what you need it to be in order for you to feel okay is not okay.
So what would the solution be? What would you suggest for people to do?
Well, the first thing that I would start with is forgiveness. And when I say forgiveness, I mean following the biblical command to release them into the hands of the Lord. They don't owe you anything. We forgive, but I wouldn't be trusting. So we have to be very careful with our trust. And I usually see it opposite in the Christian community. People struggle to forgive, but they don't seem to struggle to trust. So I don't forgive this person, but I'm going to let them right back into my life. It doesn't make sense.
I think it's more of a toxic trust as well. It's what they think they should be doing, but in actuality, they know they can't trust them. So that's where a lot of passive aggressiveness will come out and more toxicity can be at play.
That's a good point. Yeah, a lot of times we want the relationship to work out. So I just say the words, I trust you. I pretend that I trust you. I even try to trust you. But any of the trust issues, they're not dealt with. So how can I ever trust you if we don't deal with those issues that broke my trust? And now, of course, the narcissist doesn't make that any easier, because the minute you say, hey, you know what, I'm still kind of struggling with this, and I think we need to talk about this. Oh, you don't forgive me. You're supposed to forgive me. I can't believe you just keep drudging up the past. Well, the past was never dealt with. So it's not a matter of bringing up the past. We need to bring stuff up that has never been resolved. And if you've harmed me, if you've sinned against me, then yes, I get to take my time in processing this. I get to work my way through this. And you don't get to dictate whether or not this should be finished. That you decide arbitrarily that, oh, I did that in the past. That should be gone. That's the old me. No, you don't get to do that. And that's what narcissists love to do.
So what else can we do?
Well, one of the things that you can do, but I want to be very careful in this suggestion, is to rehearse. Now, when I say rehearse, I don't want to contradict what I just said before, saying I don't want you playing on their playground all the time, figuring out what you need to say to them to make sure that they don't do this or they do that. That's not what I'm talking about. But just for your own sanity and knowing what you're dealing with. And here's the thing. Narcissists are very predictable. So you're not going to get a whole lot of variation. You're going to get accusations, provocations, misunderstandings, word salads, gaslighting. It's pretty typical. So prepare yourself for what that interaction is going to look like. And then instead of going off of your triggered emotions, go off of your rehearsed lines. I'm not going to tolerate you talking to me this way. Keep talking to me this way, I'm going to leave the room. And that's it. That's what you're saying. And until that stops, that's all I say. I'm not arguing with you. I'm not defending myself. I'm not trying to prove to you that I deserve your value. I deserve your worth. I deserve your attention. I'm not proving any of that to you. First, you need to prove to me that you're going to listen to me. And to do that, you need to lower your voice. So, and now all of this doesn't need to be said. It could just be going on in your head. Meaning, if he's yelling at you, I am not carrying on this conversation while you're yelling at me. I would love to talk to you. Let me know when you calm down. Yeah. Here's where most people get tripped up, because that doesn't work with a narcissist. Because a lot of people think, oh, that should be the limit. That's going to now get them to say, oh, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't be yelling at you. That's not going to happen. They're going to yell, I'm not yelling. I'm not yelling at you. This is it, or you deserve this, or you made me do this. And it's going to actually escalate. And that's where you need to have your rehearsed lines. This is what I'm going to say, and I'm going to say this in a calm, Christ-like manner, and I'm going to hold firm on my boundaries.
So it sounds like what you're doing is kind of taking the script, because you say they're pretty predictable, kind of flipping it. What does that look like in real life?
Okay. So I'm not exactly flipping the script. I'm creating the script I'm most comfortable with. So again, this comes down to me, because I can't control what you're saying. I can't control how you're talking to me or how you're treating me. And here's what people say a lot. They trigger me. And while that is true, people can trigger us. Here's what's interesting. I can't trigger something that isn't in me. You're not going to trigger my desire to go rob a convenience store. It's just not in me. But you may trigger an anger within me. Why? Because that's within me. You may trigger an insecurity within me. Why? Because that's within me. So what we want to begin to do is recognize, what are they triggering? Because then and only then can I begin to rewrite the script. Because now I have to start doing some of that healing process. So if we imagine a firearm, you have a bullet in the chamber, and we keep getting angry at the narcissist for pulling the trigger, when in reality, if I just empty the chamber, you can pull the trigger all you want. There's going to be no explosion. There's going to be no reaction. So I want to go back. I want to deal with the triggers within me. So now I can figure out how to say this in a calm, loving, Christ-like manner. And then that's what I'm going to rehearse. And you want to keep it simple. I don't have to have an entire script or a conversation going on. There's just a few things that I want to say when you So, for example, we just talked about it. When you keep yelling, I'm going to leave the room. And that's it. That could be your script, literally. Let them rail. Let them accuse you. What are they going to do? They're going to take it from the top. Accusation, provocation, misunderstandings. They're going to start the whole process all over again. But that doesn't mean you have to.
So a really important part of this is identifying the boundary, setting the boundary, and then implementing the boundary.
Yes, that's exactly right. But it helps to set the boundary when I know what to say to set the boundary.
That makes sense.
And a lot of times people will get caught up in what the boundary is as opposed to how do I communicate this? Okay, the what is the I'm leaving, but how to communicate that, people often get stuck in the, oh, don't talk to me that way. Well, it seems appropriate, right?
Yeah.
But it's dependent upon the other person.
Right.
You don't talk to me that way. Instead of, when you do, I'm going to leave. So, yes, it's setting the boundary, but it's also communicating the boundary.
Yeah, knowing what the boundary is. Stopping, basically. We have to know that first.
Yes, absolutely.
If you're having trouble discerning between regular relationship issues versus toxic patterns, please be sure to check out this episode next. And don't forget to grab a copy of your free Toxic People Survival Guide. Your link will be in the description box below.